Hello there, fellow nobodies. My name is Knump, and this is the show you've never heard of. On this week, we're going to touch on a few things and a couple more grinds out of the rumor mill. Let's start off with Amazon and how they're entering the controller market, how Steam is going to revamp the one it already has out there, and how offline multiplayer has reached an all-time low. So let's get the ball rolling here. Amazon has released, well, not really them releasing, but there have been photos leaked out that Amazon is producing a Bluetooth wireless controller to work with PCs. It kind of has the standard button layout and it does look very bricky at the moment. There will be a couple of little pictures or links to pictures posted in things below, underneath, and in info boxes where I can't actually see right now, but they will be there. It's got your standard 4-button and trigger layout. It's very big, black, and bulky, and I'm sure there's a lot of tweaking and tuning up to do, but this is yet another step on how Amazon is expanding into very strange markets that are generally not Amazonian. In a stark contrast to the bulkiness of Amazon's little brick, Valve has refaced their controller one more time and taken out the little touchscreen that they had earlier demonstrated this year. They've gone with a more strange circular dial design and traditional button layout. I believe it has 15 buttons at the moment, instead of the classic D-pad or joysticks. So you do have to slide your thumbs over weird trackpad style pad things, but there's no longer the weird textured touchscreen in the middle. So it's supposed to be a little more intuitive, supposed to be a little more friendly on there. I'm not exactly sure how it's supposed to be a better thing than a mouse for PC gaming, especially for games like Civilization, as it was demonstrated on, but this is kind of something we're going to have to lean back and have a skeptical eye on. A brief study has been done by a company named EDAR with findings that say that multiplayer is at an all-time low. When I first read this and thought about gaming, I took a look at my shelf, and out of the 250 some odd titles behind me, 70 of them have full multiplayer capabilities, so I was a little skeptical when I read the statement. Upon further review of the study, it actually suggests that offline gaming is the thing that's plummeting, while online gaming has taken a sharp rise from 24 to 41% and had devoted titles actually made for it, Titanfall being a great example and Final Fantasy XI being one of the precursors of this. Offline multiplayer has dropped significantly down to 15% this year, with very, very few titles actually having enabled co-op. For someone who's very, very heavy into single player and or the occasional co-op romp through Gears of War, it's a little sad to see something like this hit so low and everyone putting the emphasis on online multiplayer. The only console I currently have connected to the internet is my PlayStation 3, and it's not for multiplayer. I really just want some good storytelling. I like to sit down with an RPG for 120 hours, and Dark Souls 2, I play it in offline mode. It's not connected at all, and I have a great time with it. And believe me, I don't have a bunch of assholes telling me that a chest with a special ring that's very fragile and breakable is something that's a trap and have a bunch of people break it, but I'll get into that in a couple of seconds. And here we go to the staple that's just about been in all of my videos since day one, except for World 1, Titanfall. Guys, why do you keep making headlines in gaming news? I'm sick and tired of this. Origin is now in a kind of lukewarm bath of annoyance with players because certain players cracked the game early after they legitimately paid for it in order to get into certain multiplayer maps. Origin is now banning all of these people from modifying the game illegally, and it's considered a terms of use violation, and you're going to be permanently banned and your IP address is stripped. Everyone who's freaking out over this, I want you to stop and think about two things here. One, you illegally modified a game that you expressly agreed to not do that to. You're an idiot and you deserve it. Two, you did said thing to break into a multiplayer-only game early. Why would you show up at an empty track field? Think about it. What are you gonna do? Get the best guns and sit there and wait for somebody else to break the game? You kids are special. Just want you to know. Just, like, that's inherently stupid, right? It's not just me. I'm gonna crack a multiplayer game and get it early. What the fuck are you playing with? Yourself? Hey guys, can you rocket jump? Let's find out. Fuck. Stupid makes me so angry. Sony's coming out with a new optical disc just when you thought those things were dead and it was all going to digital downloads. It's supposed to be a high-capacity archival disc. The first batch is rumored to hold 300 gigabytes, and the next batch is going to supposedly hold a terabyte. This is 3 times the size of a current Blu-ray disc, which is only 100 gigabytes, and they're supposedly going to have them out within the next year. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to be helpful for anyone. Anyone who does an external backup is generally using a hard drive, and anyone who would actually need that much things to move around is, well, not using a CD anymore. They're using flash drives because SanDisk now has a 128 gigabyte micro SD card that can fit into your cell phone. Waste of money? I'm not really sure here. Innovative? Absolutely. Multiple layers? Sounds good. You could probably use it for other things, but I don't need a terabyte CD. Well, that might make games not on 4 discs, but no. You don't have that problem as it is. What are you doing, guys? What are you doing? What are you doing? I like how you guys have made a disc solely for the Japanese RPG market, but aside from that, there's really no practical application. The average consumer doesn't have that much data that they want on a tangible disc anymore, and if you're going to try and play it to the games market and for mass movies, well, then somebody's going to slap down a piracy argument. I'm sorry, guys, but I just don't see the actual benefit of this one. And Bethesda has gone on record saying that they support the idea of a subscription for their Elder Scrolls Online game. While the rumors have been thoroughly cut through and the idea of a $60 monthly subscription is thoroughly out of everywhere, it's actually $14.99 per month. It's still a little bit steep for me for a monthly subscription. I don't think that I would actually jump on for that for an MMO. I'm a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls series, and a lot of the characters I enjoy will be in this, and it would be a lot of fun to have a mass summoner party, but I'm not doing it for $14.99 a month on top of a game I already actually have to pay for. If I'm going to pay for a game fully, completely, absolutely, then I don't want to have to continue to pay for it just for the privilege of paying for it. It seems kind of like a waste here. That's not cool. That's not cool. That's why I just try to keep it offline. I'm sorry. That's it. Elder Scrolls, it's kind of cut off. Yeah. If you're one of the few million people who still use Facebook, then you're going to be unhappy to know that rolling out to your newsfeed is an unskippable 15-second advertisement. Facebook, who's suffering from some loss of revenue somewhere, is unfortunately trying to recoup the losses by plastering more ads everywhere. This is why I don't have it. Power to the people! Hideo Kojima has announced that Solid Snake will probably not be returning to Super Smash Bros. 4. I'm not sure why, but it's not. So, moving on. Time Warner Cable is trying to push on a cheap data capped plan in some of the states. I'm not sure why, and especially at the cap they're going for. They're turning around and saying, hey guys, I've got this cheap, wonderful, happy new plan for you. It's a capped plan of 30 gigabytes. We stream movies. This is YouTube. If you're the average user on YouTube, you're going through about a gigabyte a day. That's just on YouTube. On top of that, you've got your email, your pictures, your movies, your streaming, your absolutely everything. 30 gigabytes will not last anybody. Not sure what they think they're doing, but considering they have a multi-million customer base and only thousands of them have switched over to this new plan, I'd say it's absolutely bombing. Guys, 30 gigs. We're Canadian. We get better than that. Come on. Keep up. For those of you who are fans of the Mirror's Edge game, there is a Mirror's Edge 2, but it's not exactly what you've been asking for. Mirror's Edge 2, which was supposedly supposed to be a sequel, is not actually a sequel, but more of a reboot to the series. Mirror's Edge was a fun first-person freerunner that was really, really underrated and considered a great game for what it was, but it didn't actually go anywhere for some reason. Mirror's Edge 2 is supposed to be a revamp to the series with more of an open-world feel. Unfortunately, this open world is rumored to be online only. You do have the main storyline that you can actually go through on your regular game, but in order to have a sandbox mode and actually free run around the rooftops and city, it has to have a constant internet connection. Guys, just take note from Diablo 3 and be careful on launch. It's not the best thing, it's not the worst thing, but, we'll keep you posted as we can. A new policy on track to become European law is potentially paving the way for the future of electronics. If this law is passed, then all phones, regardless of make, model, or year, will actually have to take the same charger. I think this would be an interesting thing, especially if it can actually branch off to things like laptops. It would make replacement chargers significantly easier to get. I am really, really on board with this. I really hope it passes. Good luck, guys. So yeah, Dark Souls 2, I have to take a little moment to kind of go into it because it's Dark Souls 2 and I just got it and it's fucking amazing. Well, by fucking amazing, I mean it's a great new game, and if you're into the series, I recommend it, but it's a little different. A few little things I should run down over here. If you're not at all into the whole Dark Souls series, this is actually a good place to start off. The storyline is not directly dependent on Dark Souls 1. It's not continuing from the previous game. You don't import characters. It's nothing like that. And it's actually a touch easier to get into the whole combat mechanic system. Raising your shield is still very, very vital. It's a very defensive game. And the penalties, while they do seem harsh, are really easy to alleviate once you get enough into the game. Those who are familiar with the Demon Souls understand what I mean when I say that your life bar will be reduced when you die. Traditionally in Demon Souls, when you're dead, or Hollow, which is your undead state, your life bar is cut in half until you can restore your humanity. Dark Souls 2 works on a similar sort of plane where every time you die, your health is slightly reduced up to 50%. Once you're dead and it's at that 50% margin, you can't actually reduce it anymore, but it's really a tough thing to actually go through the game. There are little items called human effigies throughout the game. There are a limited amount of them, but they are pretty spread out through the game. People are averaging 20 to 30 pickups per playthrough, which is not too bad. And once you use these items, you do restore your humanity and your entire life bar. So for those of you who are used to more of a dexterous, evasive, high maneuverability kind of build, you now have to spread your points over two different abilities. One is the classic endurance, in which your agility and stamina and all kinds of things are leveled up. But agility is also raised by another stat called adaptability. Adaptability is a new stat that was replacing the resistance stat of Dark Souls 1, where everyone promptly ignored because it only raises your poison and curse resistance. Well, this one actually raises your general agility, meaning how fast you raise your shield and how fast you take a drink out of your Estus flask, which are really, really important things. Along with a couple of controller tweaks and a little bit of graphical touch-ups, Dark Souls 2 is pretty much similar to Dark Souls 1 as far as general gameplay and aesthetic goes. One thing to note though, if you're coming right from Dark Souls 1, do not press B on a ladder. Traditionally, pressing B on a ladder would make you casually slide down and it would be a nice little happy fun thing. B is now the let go button. If you press and hold B, you can run up ladders or slide down them as quickly as you can as long as you have stamina. If you push B, you let go and you die and it's horrible and crunchy and a bad mess. Don't do that. I did that. Don't do that. All in all, it's a really fun game. It's got enough surprises and twists and turns, and it still generally keeps up with the challenges, and it's got a great sense of keeping you sort of lost, but you still can figure out where to go. There's never a, oh my fuck, I'm walking into I don't know what, but there is a million different pathways and I have no idea where to go and I just need to kind of fool my way around until I can actually get into it. Now, it generally tries to keep it to a few different movement options and it'll give you an interesting little drop, a few more enemies, a little bit more loot. That's another thing I need to touch on though. The enemies. You cannot just go and grind for souls in the traditional sense. You can't just go and kill the same dude a million times. Enemies actually despawn around the 15th time of dying. There are a few ways to bring them back, but yeah, enemies are now limited. This is new. Have fun. Good luck, guys. I'm going to be playing with it now, so I gotta go. And after that lovely little blurb about Dark Souls 2, that just about wraps it up this week. If there's anything else you guys want us to cover, leave it in the comment section below or throw us a link on our email. It's numpsgamedump@gmail.com. Most of all, thanks for watching, guys. Oh yeah, that's not out on PC yet. Suck it, Andrew.